Yo, UFC 239. I'm so excited about this show they had on last night, man. It was a very, very good show. I paid for it. It was worth it. Um, Jorge Masvidal, jumping right in, Jorge Masvidal and Ben Askren. What can you say about Jorge Masvidal, man? He walks it like he talks it. I wish I could go live, but the doggone updated YouTube uh, requirements for going live, they say the old man don't meet the requirements, whatever, a little discrimination there. I don't know. I've been having a channel forever. But anyway, I mean, Jorge was talking it before the fight. He totally delivered. And after the fight, this is how a real G talks after a fight, man. Look, if he didn't have to talk about it, I don't think he even would. It's on to the next thing, man. He has certain responsibilities, and so he has to talk about it. But if you notice, when he finished the fight, he told Joe, I'm done with that. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about Ben Askren anymore. Now, as far as Ben Askren goes, this is not his first loss. People are saying that. I see the mill is churning, trying to say that Masvidal is his first loss. Jordan Burroughs, apologize, brother, if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly. He just beat Ben Askren at what Ben Askren does best. So to me, he comes to this fight with a loss already. Now his record has 2 losses on it. But he's the best of the best at what he does in wrestling. And like I was telling my son, it is so hard to be even a top level fighter in one discipline. But to be the best of the best in your discipline and to be that for so many years, that's incredible. Now you step in, as a wrestler or kickboxer or whatever, you step into MMA, and people are throwing techniques at you which you're not as polished at, and you still do well, which Ben Askren did in other I don't know what to call it, other leagues, other companies. I don't take anything away from Ben Askren, but his mouth made him look stupid. If he had been respectful, of people, would have been a different story. But I believe he does it mostly, like most of them, for the money. When you hype the fights and you talk the smack, you get the best money. And we all know Conor McGregor, nobody does the crap talking better than Conor McGregor, and he has made the most money. So that is what it is. Amanda Nunes and Holly Holmes, again, 2 titans of the sport. It's just Amanda Nunes is just head and shoulders above the rest of the league, man. I mean, what is she going to do next? I mean, it's like she has to do a Roy Jones situation where she's fighting 2 fights in one night. Defend her belt twice in one night. I mean, what else can she do? Who else can she fight? When she took Cyborg out, it was just the craziest thing that I saw all year at that point, the way it looked. But I want to point something out. Well, before I point something out, let's talk about Holly Holmes. Total class act, man. Again, same situation with the Ben Askren thing. She came to MMA late in her professional fighting career, and she's excelled even in MMA. But when you watch this fight, oh wait, before I even go there, let me say this. I think people like Holly Holmes, Donna Cerrone, Uriah Faber, Diego Sanchez, there's a whole list of them. You know what I mean? I can't sit up here and call out everybody's name, but there's certain people who you want to watch them fight no matter what. You know what I mean? They don't have to be a champion. They're like a people's champion. You know, so though to me she's on that level. She has been the champion, and I hope Cerrone gets a chance to wear that strap in the UFC. But to me, somebody like Cerrone just does not need that. But he didn't fight last night, so we're gonna move on from off of that. I'm comparing the sister to those brothers because that's the way I see her. You know, she posed some technical challenges for Amanda Nunes early in that round. You could see the level of intensity in Amanda Nunes' face because she really couldn't land what she wanted to land. Holmes was just out of reach. She was slipping right. She was backing, when she would back up, she would only back up just as much as she needed to so that the punch wouldn't hit her, and then she was right back in. So she did a phenomenal job. But what I want you to watch, if you didn't notice it already, when you go back and watch the fight, or you watch the fight for the first time, watch the change in the expression on her face, on Amanda Nunes' face, once she had figured Holly Holmes out. Total different look on her face. She began to smile. She got, unease about herself. She knew what she needed to do, and bop, 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 she did it. Out of there, gone. I call her Lil Sis. That's what I call Amanda Nunes, Lil Sis, because she reminds me of the girls who I grew up with, here where I'm from. So, love her personality, love her energy and everything, and really respect her in all ways. Now we go to the big fight. All right. Santos and Jon Jones. I totally disagree with Dana White when he said if you scored any part of that fight for Santos, then you don't know what you're talking about, or you're effing crazy, or whatever it is that he said. I just totally disagree with that. I think the major difference came when Santos' knee went out on him. Santos fought a brilliant fight. He showed technical skill that I knew he had if he was fighting anybody else, but he was doing it with Jon Jones, and he was really confusing Jon Jones. You could see Jon Jones had this sense of urgency in his face, in round one and round two, because he knew that even though he was pressing the fight, he was not winning the fight. And he knew that. You could see it on his face. He wasn't landing what he was throwing like he does with most people. Either that oblique kick, which personally I think is a foul. I don't even think they should be allowed to throw that downward kick to the knee and to the thigh. It's just too much damage can come from that. And it's kind of chicken shit, really, to me. Jon Jones, I don't think there's anybody really does it better than him. But I think that, with the exception of the fact that when you throw a downward elbow, it's usually going to be at somebody's head, and the head is the most important part of the body. But that kick, man, they ought to get rid of it, in my opinion. There's too many ways that you can injure somebody with the kicking game, period, and totally take their career out. We can lose that one technique, and fights will still be interesting to me. But even that wasn't as effective with this guy, Santos, who was supposed to be a pretty flat-footed fighter. But even though he does kind of fight, flat-footed in a sense, or at least he looks flat-footed, the brother was anticipating and moving like Holly Holmes in the nick of time. A good example was I want to say it was in the first round, where John Jones had Santos pushed up against the cage, and in a split second, he threw that elbow, that swing around elbow, that 360 elbow. Santos ducked clean underneath that, and you could see the frustration in John Jones' face when he missed that, because he knew what he had on it. I mean, that was a murder weapon. They should have, if he would have landed that, he should have got arrested in the cage, man. That's just how dangerous that particular technique was at that moment, how perfect he threw it. The brother was clearly frustrated with what Santos was doing, and Santos was hurting him. And he had a hell of a game face, John Jones. He had a hell of a game face on, but it was obvious to me. Other than the knee, the thing with Santos that took him out, in my opinion, was the fact that in round one and in round two, he wasn't throwing to the body. And when he sat down and they gave him advice, now I don't speak Portuguese, and they really didn't do a good job of covering that anyway, but I didn't hear any advice telling him to throw to the body. You know, with a person like John Jones, if you watch the fight, again, very hard to hit him. Everybody knows that. And very hard to hit him flush. You know, so here you got a guy in Santos, who is arguably one of the hardest punchers in his weight class, right? Maybe even his weight class and the heavyweights, you know. But he's not a super fast puncher, right? His hands are not blisteringly fast, you know, lightning fast. John Jones didn't become confident against Santos's punches until the third round, when he got hit in the face in the third round, nice and flush, in a two-piece, and then that's when he understood, I can take this man's punch. Look, I was sitting there and I was like, I just want to see him hit him in the face. I just want to see how he reacts to a good flush punch in the face. When that happened, it was like we both, Jones and I both, was like, oh, okay, he can take the punch. Now, had he been dropping on that body, liver, lower ribs either side, liver, lower ribs, you know, in the gut. Had he been dropping on that body, some of those times when he was throw to the head, and when Jones either slipped, if you watch the fight, Jones a lot of times would turn to the side and he would protect his head. You know, he would even give up his back sometimes for a split, for a split second, or he would put his head back out of reach. Any of that is the opportunity now for you to find a spot on the body for a person with a sledgehammer like this brother Santos has, to land it on the body. Boom, boom. Both sides. When you get to the third round, awesome round for John Jones. He understood what he could do. Santos was managing the knee, and Santos he wasn't in full-on survival mode. He was still trying to win, and that's another thing about this guy. This guy's a people's champion. He lost nothing by losing this fight, and in my opinion, the fight was a draw. You know, the precedent of the fight does not give you points to me. You know, there's precedent of the fight and there's ring generalship. Okay, always being the stalker to me does not give you points. You can walk yourself into an ass whipping. Okay, and you know, there's grades to this. So he did not do anything with that walk-in that was that amazing, you know. But the way I had it scored was 2-2 in the fifth round. I'm scoring that even though I really feel like the fifth round was more to Santos. But you can't take the champ's belt like that. You know, you can't take the champ's belt on that close of a fight. You know, it's just too many ways to read it. But to give him a victory, to give him the victory to me was to rob Santos. Santos was amazing in this fight. Well, look, y'all know me. I don't like to go that long. I'm already at 15 minutes, so I'm out. But I love you for free, and please give me some comments back on this, some feedback, whatnot. Tell me what you think, and maybe we'll holler for the next one. God spare.